When it comes to a servant's nationality, it would not cause a war of some sort, unless said servant's nationality is about Emiya Shirou. In that case, any sense of logic is thrown out of the window. Man. After a long day of gruesome training, the thing that I need is food for my stomach. Mordred said proudly as she took large bites from her food. Be careful with your chewing, Mordred, Gawain said. Can it? You're not my mother. Percival let out a chuckle. Even now, her appetite hasn't changed. You can say that again. Lancelot replied. Soon, the knights of the round continued to eat their meals in peace, or so as they thought. All because of Mordred's mouth. Still though, I can't believe that mother was able to keep up with us. And so easily. Mordred said as she was munching on a chicken leg. Indeed. As expected from Queen Shirou, he was able to beat all of us with quite such elegance. Tristan said as he sipped on some tea from his cup. Yes. Not to mention the fact that our king has trained him in the past as well, Gawain said. Eh? Our king has taught our queen? Lancelot asked. Yes. From what I heard, our king has taught our queen some of her swordsmanship techniques for him to protect himself better. Really? Now I'm jealous of our queen. Gareth pouted. Me too. Speaking of which, if Emiya Shirou became our king's new consort, does that automatically make him British? Percival asked. That is a good question. Tristan replied. Agravain let out a sigh. I swear, all of you need to be quiet, or else trouble is going to come soon. He groaned. How rude. Upon hearing the loud voice, the knights of the round stopped having their conversation. It was then they heard a clatter of sounds from another table, followed by a group of servants coming up towards them. The group of said servants consisted of Oda Nobunaga, Hijikata Toshizu, Sakata Kintoki, and a few others. For a moment, silence occurred between the two groups. Can I help you? Gawain asked. Yes. Did we just heard you call Emiya Shirou your queen? Oda Nobunaga questioned a bit in annoyance. Yeah. Do you have a problem with that? Mordred asked casually. Yes. It is quite disrespectful to call him your queen. He is a warrior worth for the Shinsengumi. Hijikata yelled angrily. Plus, he's a man. It is embarrassing to call him your queen. He's not even British. He's Japanese. Kintoki added in. No. By being our king's new consort, he became British in the process. Therefore, he is British. Japanese. British. Japanese. The bickering lasted for a while. The rest of the knights watched along with the other Japanese servants. Wow, this is one weird argument I have ever seen. First of all, Emiya Shirou, being our queen, is not embarrassing. It is one of the highest honors a person can receive. Gawain yelled. Huh? One of the highest honors? Sorry, but Emiya Shirou does not deserve such a title as that. If anything, he should receive the title of samurai. Oda Nobunaga yelled. Samurai? Just what kind of title is that? That sounds like the name of a bug. Mordred yelled. A bug? How rude. The title of samurai means that he is an honorable and worthy person to his lord, which is something that you do not possess, Knight of Treachery. Oda argued while rubbing salt in the wound at the same time. At that moment, Mordred lost it and got angry at Oda Nobunaga's remark. Oh, that is it. You want to have a go at it, you bastard, she yelled as she was about to start a brawl against Oda Nobunaga, but was stopped by Gawain at the last moment. Mordred, calm down. Gawain said. Sorry gorilla, but this girl pissed me off for the last time. Mordred said angrily. Even still, don't start a fight here, or else you will get banned from the cafeteria." Upon hearing Gawain's words, Mordred froze. For a moment, she did not do anything before continuing the conversation. "TCH, fine," she muttered while giving Oda Nobunaga the evil eye. "Learn to control that knight of yours. It's no wonder how the kingdom you served fell so easily from a simple rebellion. That's weak." At that moment, the Knights of the Round felt insulted by Oda Nobunaga's words and got out of their chairs. "Excuse me, but what did you just say?" Lancelot asked. "Huh? All I said is that the kingdom you served fell so easily from a simple rebellion. Your kingdom must be weak for it to fall that easily," Oda Nobunaga repeated. Those words got the Knights of the Round riled up. However, it was then Mordred fought back with words. "Oh really? That's funny, coming from the same person who was backstabbed by one of her friends so easily at a temple." Oda Nobunaga slightly twitched. "You call yourself a demon king of heaven? Huh. More like the demon king of getting betrayed." A vein nearly blew. "Or maybe the demon king of fools." At that moment, Oda Nobunaga exploded. "Oh, that is it. I'll kill you." And a massive fight soon began. The fight between the two groups lasted for a while until Merlin and Proto Merlin came into the cafeteria and broke the fight up, before coming up with the idea of a match between the two groups, which both agreed. Thus, the war between Britain and Japan has begun. A few days later, the two groups began to gather members for the upcoming battle, which consisted of members of the Knights of the Round, Oda Nobunaga, Hijikata Toshizu, Sakata Kintoki, Tomoguzen, Okada Izo, Ashiwakamaru, Ryoma, Kagetora, and Musashi. Meanwhile, back in the center of the arena, both sides were preparing themselves for the match. At the same time, Merlin and Proto Merlin were looking at the scene with excitement on their faces. "Wow, this is quite the interesting event," Merlin said. "Indeed. An exhibition match between Britain and Japan. And what was the reason again?" Proto Merlin asked, yet already knowing the answer. Merlin let out a smirk. "Simple. To decide with nationality young Emiya Shirou is. Is he a British? Or Japanese? Wow. That's quite the reason for a fight like this." "Indeed. Right now, it seems that the groups are preparing their weapons. Looks like we'll be seeing quite a fight here." "To be fair, you're the one who came up with this idea," Proto Merlin said with a smile on her face. "You can say that again." Meanwhile, Mordred was growling as she was sharpening claret while glaring at Oda Nobunaga. "Oh, that asshole. I can't wait to get my hands on her when I kick her ass." "Mordred, calm down," Gawain said. "How can I? That girl over there insulted father. I seriously want to kick her ass right now," Mordred yelled in reply. "Because now's not the right time. Trust me, all of us feel the same way you feel right now. Please, be patient." Mordred still looked angry, but decided to heed Gawain's words. "Fine, but I call dibs on her." Gawain let out a sigh before turning to the rest of the Knights of the Round and faced them. "All right. We have gathered here to settle the score with the Japanese servants. Not only did that so-called demon king insult our king and kingdom, but they also dared say that our queen's title is embarrassing. This will not stand. Are all of you with me?" The rest of the knights yelled in agreement. "Good. Now then, let's march to battle." The Knights of the Round then began to stand up and headed towards the arena. With the Japanese servants. "You really angered that girl big time, Nobunaga," Hijikata said. "What did I do? All I did was just mention her kingdom's downfall. And then she went completely nuts on me. She could have just held it in. That may be the case, but you seem to have brought back a sensitive topic. Not only that, but you also fell for that girl's taunt. Nobunaga sighed. Well, what comes around goes around. Anyways, we have a fight to settle, so let's go, she yelled. Hijikata let out a sigh. That girl. Meanwhile, Musashi was excited about the fight she was in as she was polishing her katanas. Alright. It's been a while since I've been in a fight. This should be exciting. Don't get too cocky, Okada Aizu said as he was doing the same thing as Musashi was doing. The knights of the round, I wonder how strong they are. This fight is about to be golden. Kintoki yelled. Well, this is not what I expected to spend my afternoon. At least I'll be getting some exercise, Tomo thought. Soon, both groups faced each other, with both Mordred and Oda Nobunaga glaring at each other with anger in their eyes. As the groups were looking at each other, it was then Merlin decided to speak out. Alright. Now that we have all the groups here, it is time for the battle. Who shall win? Which nationality will Shirou be a part of? Britain or Japan? Let's find out and see. Both groups readied themselves. Ready, fight. And soon, each member from each group chose their opponents. With Mordred and Oda Nobunaga. I've been waiting for this fight, you bastard. Mordred yelled as she swung Clarent at Nobunaga, which she blocked with her katana. You seem to have quite the temper, young girl. Oda Nobunaga replied. Mordred then pushed Oda Nobunaga back and proceeded to charge towards her. However, Oda Nobunaga summoned multiple guns out of nowhere and they began to shoot at Mordred, forcing her to dodge. Seriously? Floating guns from out of nowhere? That's just like the asshole king of heroes. Mordred thought as she dodged some of the bullets before starting to deflect them, creating a cloud of smoke and dust in the process. Eventually, the firing of multiple bullets stopped and the cloud disappeared, revealing Mordred, who was breathing with exhaustion. Hey shitty wizard! Aren't guns not allowed in this fight? She yelled, referring to Merlin. Sorry, but this is just a regular fight. Which means you can use anything that you want. Merlin replied. Mordred let out a groan before turning her attention back to Oda Nobunaga. Hey girl! You seem to be having trouble here. You want to give up? Huh. Like hell I would. I can still keep going. Mordred replied as she readied her sword. Here I come. Oda Nobunaga let out a smirk. Bring it on. With Gawain and Hijikata Toshizu. Gawain and Hijikata Toshizu were crossing blades with each other. Each sword strike met each other as the two were in complete silence. After a moment of crossing swords against each other, the two pulled away from each other. So, this is a knight of the round swordsmanship, quite impressive I must say, Gawain, Hijikata Toshizu said. The same can be said about you, Hijikata Toshizu, Gawain said while panting softly. You have quite the skills with the sword as well. Indeed. It's quite a wonder how we haven't fought before. Exactly. The two then began to clash again. As they did, Hijikata Toshizu let out a few words. Listen, I'm sorry for what one of my teammates said a few days ago, he apologized. Gawain let out a sigh. Apology accepted. With Tristan and Tomoguzen. Both Tristan and Tomoguzen were shooting at each other in great accuracy with their bows. Each arrow that was shot from their bows clashed towards each other. For a moment, both servants were stunned with their actions. Wow. I can't believe this just happened. Tomo said with wonder as she just saw every bow she just shot was deflected by her opponent's arrows. Hey! All our arrows just bounced back against each other. Yes. Is this even possible? Tristan asked. I don't know. This feels like one of those quick-time events in video games. Tomo said as she shot another arrow. As she did, Tristan shot another arrow, which then bounced back at Tomo's arrow. See? It happened again, she said with a groan. Tristan sighed. This is going to take a while, he thought before he shot another arrow. With Lancelot and Okada Aizu. Lancelot and Okada Aizu were swinging their swords against each other, just like how Gawain was dueling against Hijikata Tashizu. Ha ha ha. So, this is the swordsmanship of the so-called greatest knight of the round. It excites me. More. Give me more. Okada yelled as he started to swing again at Lancelot. Geez, I thought I would never see someone like this before. He's like a berserker. Lancelot thought as he was blocking every bit of Okada Aizu's sword swings. As the swinging continued, Lancelot got tired of it and parried one of Okada Aizu's swings, knocking him back for a bit. Not wanting to lose that chance, Lancelot swung back at Okada Aizu, forcing him on the defensive. Okada Aizu let out a smile. Putting me on the defensive, not bad. With Bedivere and Ushawakamaru. Bedivere was standing on his ground while dealing with Ushawakamaru's speed at the same time. TCH. I can't keep up with this speed. She's quite fast, he thought to himself as he blocked another of Ushawakamaru's sword swings. As they clashed, Ushawakamaru landed on a far side of the ring she was in. Wow. This man is able to defend himself against my speed. As expected from a knight of the round, you don't want to underestimate them. Ushawakamaru thought before she readied herself for another strike on Bedivere. Over there. Bedivere thought as he saw through Ushawakamaru's speed and successfully defended himself. Ushawakamaru let out a slight grin. Yup. I knew it. Don't underestimate the knights of the round. However, her thoughts were cut short as Bedivere came close to her, swinging her blade at her. However, she dodged it, but it was then she noticed something. That sword swing, and those movements, it can't be. Both Bedivere and Ushawakamaru stopped fighting for a moment to gather their breath. Hey, out of a warrior's respect, who taught you those moves? Bedivere was letting out breaths of air before continuing the conversation. Emiya Shirou. I knew it. Those moves earlier reminded me of him. I see. So, what happens next? Ushawakamaru let out a smirk. Isn't it obvious? We let the match continue. With Percival and Sakata Kintoki. So, this is how a knight of the round fight. It is golden. Kintoki yelled as he swung his axe at Percival, who blocked it with his spear. Wow. This man has quite the strength with that axe. He might possibly rival Gawain in terms of strength of muscle. Percival thought before he pushed Kintoki backwards before charging at him with his spear. As he did, he twirled his spear before swinging it at Kintoki, forcing him to dodge. However, Percival was not done yet as he lunged the spear towards Kintoki. Kintoki then blocked it with his axe and proceeded to hit Percival's spear sideways. It was then Kintoki took a chance and swung his axe towards Percival again. However, Percival saw that coming and twirled his spear again, blocking Kintoki's axe strike. Who? That strike is golden. You are quite the great warrior. Kintoki said with excitement in his voice. I can say the same thing about you. Percival replied. And the two clashed again. With Gareth and Musashi. Hiya! Gareth yelled as she lunged her lance towards Musashi, who blocked it with her katanas. It was then Musashi pushed Gareth's lance sideways with her katanas, creating an opening. I have you now. Musashi yelled while attempting to do a sword swing. TCH. Gareth then moved back and guarded against the sword swing by bringing back her lance when she moved back. For a moment, both warriors stood their ground, defending themselves against their weapons. "Wow. You're good with that giant lance over there," Musashi complimented. "Why, thank you. It took me a long time just to figure out how to use it," Gareth replied before pushing Musashi back. "I can see. Also, sorry about what one of my fellow countrymen said a few days ago," Musashi said as she began to swing against Gareth. "Apologizes accepted. Although right now would be a bad time saying it. Now that you mentioned it, you're right." With Agravain and Ryoma. Both Agravain and Ryoma were silent as they were clashing swords. However, the looks on their faces were different. Ryoma had a small smile on his face, while Agravain looked angry. "Hey Ryoma. Your opponent seems to have quite an angry look on his face," Oryu said. "Yeah. I think he's still mad from what happened a few days ago," Ryoma replied, remembering the reason why this event began in the first place. "Maybe you should talk to him." Ryoma almost laughed upon hearing Oryu's suggestion. "Like that's going to work. Hey! Stop yammering and focus on the fight," Agravain yelled as he pushed Ryoma back. "Wow. He really is mad," Ryoma thought as he moved back to dodge one of Agravain's sword swings. However, Agravain lunged towards him, not giving him a chance to recover. "And it looks like he's not going to let me recover." Meanwhile, Agravain was in his own thoughts. "I need to finish this pointless fight and get to that girl who insulted my king. How dare she make a mockery of my king? She'll pay." Back with Merlin and Proto-Merlin. Oh my. The competition between everyone here is quite tense. "It's like we're hosting a tournament here," Merlin said with a smile on his face. "Indeed. You can feel the tension between the warriors here. In fact, I can taste them," Proto-Merlin replied. "Exactly. Speaking of which, popcorn my dear?" Merlin asked as he was holding a bucket of popcorn. "Why thank you." Proto-Merlin proceeded to grab a handful and started to eat. Ritsuka was walking down the hallway, minding his own business. "Well, today seems to be a normal day. There are no threats happening right now, humanity is still here, and nothing blew up in Chaldea. Looks like nothing bad will happen." However, his hopes were dashed to the side when he heard a giant boom in the distance. Ritsuka mentally cursed himself. "Damn it, I spoke too soon. Just my luck," he thought to himself before heading towards the source of the sound. Eventually, he arrived at the source of the sound, and was in shock at what was in front of him. In front of him was a ruined spare room that had various burn marks, cracks, and holes on the walls, destroyed equipment, and a bunch of knocked out servants that consisted of the Knights of the Round and the Japanese servants. However, he also saw Merlin and Proto-Merlin behind a counter, unharmed. "Oh, hey there master," Merlin said with a smile on his face. "Hi there master," Proto-Merlin said with a smile on her face as well. "Merlin, what the hell did you two do?" Ritsuka yelled. Hey, well, let's just say we were hosting a tournament, and, well," Merlin said. "Everyone here unleashed their noble phantasms," Proto-Merlin finished. At that moment, Ritsuka did not know what to say or do because he was at a loss for words. However, it was then two certain people came into the room. Arturia and Okita. "Master, are you alright? We heard the explosion and, what is this?" Arturia asked when she saw the unconscious bodies. "Hijikata? Nobunaga? Just what is this master?" Okita asked as she did the same as Arturia. Ritsuka let out a sigh. "Ask those two," he said as he pointed to Merlin and Proto-Merlin. Both Merlin and Proto-Merlin waved to Arturia and Okita. Arturia let out a disappointing sigh. "Okay. I got the gist of it. For now, let's just wake them up. Agree. A few minutes later, along with waking up the others. So let me get this straight. All of this started from an argument over what nationality Shirou should be? Arturia repeated. Yes, my king, the Knights of the Round replied. And it somehow escalated when Nobunaga insulted Arturia-san, which in turn, Mordred-san insulted Nobunaga, and created a huge fight. Okita asked. Yes, Okita, Hijikata Toshizu replied. Both Arturia and Okita let out a collective sigh. Okay. While most of this is Merlin's idea and his female counterpart got roped into it, just why did both of you agree to this tournament? Arturia asked. Well, when that girl over there insulted you, all of us got mad at her and we wanted to teach her a lesson, Gawain admitted with shame. A lesson? For what? All I did was just say that was on my mind. You guys didn't have to get mad. Especially you. Oda Nobunaga yelled as she turned to Mordred. You didn't have to get mad when I called you a girl. Hey! Don't call me a girl, you idiot. Mordred yelled in anger. But you are one. Nobunaga replied. A fight between Mordred and Nobunaga was about to break out, but Ritsuka, Arturia, and Okita stopped it. However, the two still had looks of anger. Anyways, was this tournament necessary to settle a small issue? I mean, is Shirou's nationality that big of an issue to begin with up to the point where all of you were at each other's throats? Arturia asked. Exactly. Oda Nobunaga, I've seen you done stupid acts, but this has got to be the most stupid act I've seen or heard you commit. I mean, did you really start a tournament just for the sake of making sure that Shirou stays Japanese? Okita asked in disbelief. Yes. Otherwise, we would have lost someone valuable to the British over there. Hey! He's our queen. So that makes him British royalty. Therefore, he's British. Gawain yelled. Just because he's your queen doesn't make him British. He's still Japanese. Don't you dare take something from us, you thieves. Hijikata argued. Huh? Thieves? We're not thieves. Stop making accusations on us. Especially about Queen Shirou. Gareth yelled. Why you? Quit calling him Queen Shirou. Okada Aizu said. Sorry, but I must disagree. Lancelot yelled. Uh-oh. Looks like we have another golden fight on our hands again. Kintoki said. Now I'm starting to regret being here. Agravain said with a groan. This is starting to get ridiculous. Bedivere said. This is sad. Tristan said. Uh-oh, the fight's starting all over again. Ryoma thought. Oh my. Looks like Nobunaga is getting heated up again. Kagetora said. You can say that again, Kagetora. Musashi replied in agreement. Wow. Looks like this is going to take a while. Tomo said. You can say that again. Ushiwakamaru replied in agreement. Enough. Arturia, Okita, and Ritsuka yelled in unison, stopping the conversation before things could get ugly. Listen, it doesn't matter what nationality Shirou is. Shirou is Shirou, and that's just it. His nationality does not matter what he is as a person. Understand? Yes. Everyone said in unison. Good. Now that we have come to an agreement, can we stop the fighting now? Okita asked. Both groups looked at each other before nodding to each other. Yes, they said in unison again. Good. Now then, can all of you please clean up this mess? Ritsuka asked, before turning to Merlin and his female counterpart. That includes you too. Eh? Do we have to? Merlin asked. Yes. Arturia, Okita, and Ritsuka yelled in unison. Soon, everyone began to clean up the room they were in. As they were cleaning, Merlin and Proto-Merlin were watching the spectacle with a slightly disappointed look on their faces. Ah. It's over already. And I wanted to see which nationality is young Shirou a part of. Proto-Merlin said with a pout. Indeed. Looks like we'll never find out in the end. Merlin said. However, Proto-Merlin let out a smile. Oh really? Merlin then turned to his female counterpart with a smile on his face. You're thinking of something, aren't you? Yep. And that's how Arturia, Okita, and Ritsuka stopped a civil war in Chaldea, although the debate about Shirou's nationality is still unsolved. However, Merlin and his counterpart had other plans about the matter. Oh mate. Shirou was walking down one of Chaldea's hallways, minding his own business. As he did, it was then he noticed something on one of the walls. It was a chart that has the title, which nationality is Shirou a part of, and there were various answers. Some said British, some said Japanese, and for some odd reason, some said Roman. All in all, Shirou only had one thought in his mind. What the heck?